Okay, so if you don't know, I'm on vacation, different location, probably worse quality. I'm sorry. If you don't know, the way I'm doing One Piece reviews now is whenever Oda goes on break, I talk about the last, 3, this time 4 chapters that he has done, and we just talk about him in a group. So I'm only hanging out with you for chapter reviews once a month. Still making One Piece content though. So we have 4 chapters to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. I will hit the biggest moments and then rapid fire some quick little moments, but there's so much to talk about in these 4 chapters, and I'm so excited because we have to begin with the most important part, which is that our boy Buggy made Emperor. I'm so proud of him. He deserves it more than anyone else. I want to know who did something noble and grand and wonderful, and Buggy took the credit. I would like to know who he stole the credit from. Whose success did he stumble into? I'm so proud of him. He deserves it. I love that we have so many powerhouses, and then we have the guy who just has the greatest of luck. We have all these people who have done so much, either good or bad. Shanks, we really don't know what he's done. He's still such a mystery. I love that we have all these people who have definitively earned their merits, and then we have Buggy, who just is surrounded by a lot of people who believe in him, who are stronger than him, and he just happens to get a lot of the credit. And sometimes not even intentionally, but whenever people say you're this, then he's like, yeah, okay, I'll be that. It's just I love it, especially because of the incompetence that we're seeing from the world government lately. It's like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're also completely misguided on who they think is worthy of certain titles. Not that Buggy isn't worthy, because he is. If you haven't hung out with me for very long, I love Buggy, if it isn't obvious. I have said for a very long time, pretty much since before the time skip, I think, I've been saying that Buggy's gonna be Pirate King. And it's kind of a meme because I live for memes, and it's kind of real because I like the idea that Buggy is going to continue to just kind of be in the right place at the right time and keep falling upward to the point that he is eventually going to get to the One Piece too, either because he's actively looking for it because he missed his opportunity, or if it's just like right place, right time again. And Luffy will find it and become the Pirate King, but the title of Pirate King will be put on Buggy because the world government is inept, and they're just gonna see him there and make assumptions, and Buggy will be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, yeah, that's me. Even though he totally doesn't want that kind of target on his back, but I also feel like Buggy can't help but accept credit for things. So I just see him end up getting the title of Pirate King because he can't help himself from saying, yes, I have accomplished this amazing thing. And then he has a target on his back, and then they're hunting him down, and Luffy just gets to like live free because really, does he care that much about having the title? Like, I know he's been saying he's gonna be the Pirate King for so long, but I feel like it's not the title that he's after. It's the One Piece, and it's just the adventure. It's the doing. And so once he does it, it's like, I've done it. Oh, he's gonna be the Pirate King? Okay, whatever. I got my adventure. Like and I feel like us getting Emperor, this is just getting one step closer to the one true Pirate King getting his role. I'm so proud of Buggy. What a great treat you've given me, Oda. Could not be happier. Also, it was pointed out to me that all 3 of the emperors, the new emperors, are connected to Shanks, which got me on a bit of a spiral. Because I love the idea that I like the idea that Shanks is like, he actively still loves his old comrade, his old frenemy in Buggy, and he's been advocating for him, and maybe he was that was the pirate that he went to, and he was like, I have a pirate, there's a certain pirate that I would like to talk to you about. I don't know, you know the line. People have been talking about this. It's not original to me. I like the idea that Shanks still loves Buggy and is advocating for him and seeing him succeed, and Buggy just like is so bitter and mad at Shanks, and whenever we finally get a reunion from them, we're gonna get that kind of dynamic of Shanks being like, my pal, and Buggy being like, I hate you, and just that, you know, Shanks being laid back and laughing about Buggy's attitude, and Buggy being over the top like he always is. But anyway, they obviously, all three of them are very connected to Shanks. I like the idea that the reason that we had him established as a very important character for our series in the first chapter and then just kind of haven't really explored his character at all. I like the idea that the reason, at least this is my thought, my hope, the reason we haven't explored his character in all this time is because we've been waiting for now. Because in the beginning, Shanks knew what that devil fruit was that Luffy ate. Shanks knew the mantle that was on Luffy, and the reason Shanks is strategically in certain places at the right time, the reason he was so happy to give up his arm, the reason when he met with Whitebeard and he said, I gave my arm up for the next generation. One would think that I would go back and look up these quotes, but I'm really just not a notes type of person. I'm a let's hang out and talk kind of person. The reason that he has been so behind Luffy all this time, gave him the hat, told him to give it back when he's stronger, which gave Luffy so much motivation, is because all this time he's known more than we have. And now that Luffy's fruit has awakened, now that Luffy is in the perfect place, now that we're at the climax of the story, or we're entering into that, this is the time for Shanks to step up and be like, this is why I've been tailing you all this time. This is why, you know, behind the scenes I've been moving the chess pieces in your favor, is because I've known all along. And, you know, pretty soon we're gonna get a lot of Shanks. That's my hope. That's my thought for what Shanks is doing. I'm sure someone else has thought of it too, but hey, that's where I am. Oh, also, oh my goodness, so if you don't know, I live read all these chapters on my Patreon. Sorry for those of you who might have seen the live stream that I accidentally made public for 1 second and then took away. But anyway, I make these streams on my Patreon, and on the last chapter of every month before Oda goes on break, people come into the live stream like in video, and we all just hang out and talk. And not a lot of people, we have a schedule, it doesn't matter. So one person that was in the stream mentioned that potentially warlords, some of the warlords are under Buggy, like in his crew, and I'm obsessed with this now. It's my favorite thing ever, and I want it so bad. I love the idea that like Boa decided to join Buggy's crew because she was at Marineford and she knows that Buggy and Luffy are connected and that they will probably come together again, especially after Buggy made Emperor status. Like they will end up seeing each other again. So I love the idea that after the warlord institution was dissolved, that Boa was like, okay, I serve under no man, but I will serve under you temporarily because it may get me to Luffy. And then like Mihawk joins under him. I have no idea what his motivation could be. Maybe to get to Zoro, maybe for the fun of it. He does seem to just enjoy drama sometimes. I can't wait to see what's going on in the Reverie. I'm really just like fishtailing. What? I'm just going really off. Let's get back onto it. So we got the bounties as well, and I'm not gonna lie to you, my gut reaction to that was, my first reaction was, hang on, hold on a second. Sorry if my camera angle changed. I wanted to make sure I was recording because I wasn't positive, because I am who I am. So my gut reaction, my first reaction to that was a little bit of, well, hang on a second please, because, you know, the Law and Kid got a bigger jump than Luffy, and I feel like Luffy really, he earned that 3 billion bounty, 3 billion berry bounty, but I calmed down a minute after my instincts of Luffy deserves everything. And you know, they helped him with Kaido for a while. They were in on the fight against Kaido and Big Mom alongside Luffy, and then they took down Big Mom all on their own. So yes, it was 1v1 with Luffy and Kaido, but they did fight Kaido too, and it was a team effort. And also the world government is very likely trying to make Luffy like downplay him a little bit. Like, yes, I want the world to know I really want this guy, so please capture him if you can, but also I don't want to do too much to make him look amazing, which they failed at. I love Morgan. I love that he just doesn't care. Like, all he cares about is the news is more important than whatever you're trying to spend. It's more funny, it's more fun than what you're trying to spend, so I don't care what you say. I'm having the time of my life printing all this stuff that you don't want printed. It's the best. I'm having the best time. I know about the whole, like, their bounties added up is just barely higher than what Big Mom and Kaido were. I love that. I didn't notice it myself, but my patrons pointed it out to me. And then the last message sent by Cyberpool was, "It's Big Mom's ship." Also has me really excited because I won't lie, I am fully disappointed in the role that Big Mom's crew took in Wano. I think the bit of them climbing the waterfall only to get slapped down and then climbing the waterfall only to get slapped down, I think that bit's hilarious, and I love that that happened. But that's all that happened. Like, we should have done more. So I am deeply disappointed in the potential we had with Big Mom's crew being at Wano and never entering Wano. Keep the bit, but I just thought that they would still arrive at the 11th hour or something, but they haven't. But that last message sent out by Cyberpool has me excited. Tells me that I just need to calm down a second because Oda likely still has plans for them, and that was just like a fun bit because we're gonna do something else that wasn't expected, which I'm thrilled with. Let's do something else. I still hold the theory that not all of Big Mom's crew are completely loyal to her. They're just afraid of her. So they've been loyal to her out of fear, not out of, I want to see you succeed. Some of them, Paraspero, absolutely was that way, but I think others, I still hold the theory that Katakuri is not fully loyal to her, and he gave up the fight with Luffy because he wanted Luffy to go and defeat Big Mom. And I like to think that now that she is out of the picture, now that she's eliminated, that we're gonna see a lot of her crew changing sides. So I'm excited to see what Oda has planned with all that. Speaking of spiraling, I completely spiraled when we got the review that Hitetsu is the previous leader of the previous Shogun of Wano. I never crossed my mind. I have since been made aware that that was apparently a theory that was already out there. Never once crossed my mind. I did not think he was still alive. I know it's One Piece. I didn't think he was still alive. It never crossed my mind. And I did absolutely spiral when I saw this. Because, like, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? I know you were imprisoned for a long time, but you escaped. And what have you been doing? I know you adopted an orphan girl, and that's amazing, and I love that you raised Tama, but also what else? At least tell me that you've been running a relief group where you've been stealing from the rich and giving to the poor like Denjiro was. At least tell me that you've been collecting plans to help in Oden's role, or in the Red Scabbard's role whenever they return like Ashura Doji was. Like, tell me that you've done something. And not just, I mean, that line when Tama got sick and Luffy had to take her to the doctor, and he said, you're gonna have to take her into town. I have my own reasons for not going to town. Obviously, I knew that that meant that there was something, you know, we were gonna get an answer on that. And the fact that he's the previous Shogun, yeah, pretty good reason. But also, you're wearing a mask, so you could have gone into town. You could have given to the poor. You could have been helping the residents. And I'm not saying he didn't, but what have you been doing? What have you been, like, I will not accept that while the Red Scabbards have been hanging on to their hope, have been fighting, have been traveling in time and searching to find someone to help them, or have been collecting plans despite losing their hope, or getting tortured by Jack while refusing to give up one of your own because you know that there is a time where you can help Wano. Don't tell me that while the Red Scabbards have been doing so much, while people have been wearing the crescent moon tattoo on their ankles, don't tell me that you've done nothing. And if that is his arc, if it truly is like, I was humiliated, I lost hope, then that's a really human reaction, and Oda writes very human reactions to things, so I will accept it, but I won't accept it. Like, that is duh. And then there's these other things. So anyway, let's talk about, we're supposed to be talking about a lot of things here. So the scene in 1050, in 1050, in chapter 1050, feels so intentional, where where Toko is lifting her lantern in the sky, and Hitetsu is talking to her and telling her about her dad. If he hadn't done what he did when he did it, all the lights of hope would have gone out. This feels really intentional, because if he were talking to Tama, I wouldn't bat an eye, but he's talking to Toko, which doesn't suit. Like, those two being together and him telling her that, like, those two having this conversation isn't a natural combination. So it feels really intentional that Hitetsu, that the previous Shogun of Wano, I don't know how to say his real name, is the one that's delivering this line about how if someone hadn't sacrificed themselves, if someone hadn't done what he did, then the lights of hope in Wano would have gone out. So it makes me wonder, what's the intentionality behind this? Are we going to find out that he's just so burdened with guilt and grief because all these people, the Red Scabbards and Yatsui and so many people in the background, have been giving up so much because they haven't lost hope, and yet he didn't? Like, I know he didn't lose hope because of the line in some other chapter when we got Tama's I think it was the same chapter, when we got Tama's backstory, and we saw, and Hitetsu found her and said, just bear with it a few more years, which means he believed the prophecy. It means that he knew that in a few more years that the country would very likely be freed. He didn't give up his hope, but he did seem to have given up his belief in himself. And he believed that other people would come save Wano, but he didn't himself. And I think, to me, my interpretation with very little information of that scene with Toko is that he is very regretful of the fact that all these people were still fighting and sacrificing themselves and giving so much, and yet he didn't. He still believed in the prophecy, but he didn't help his people. He didn't give everything of himself to them after he was defeated out of shame. And that's a very, very human reaction. I have a lot of feelings about this man because while I love human reactions, it's one of the reasons why Ashura Doji is one of my favorite Red Scabbards, which I have a video coming about the Red Scabbards, and I will lobby for him in that. But I love very human reactions, even ones that are not noble, that they're just honest, and I think that he's probably that character. I would like to talk to you, sir, about the fact that you don't plan on telling Momo that you're still alive. What are you doing? Momo can't read the poneglyphs, and he can't make the poneglyphs because that died with Odin. But you're alive! Are you really so selfish? Are you really so down on yourself? And I know that this is a human reaction. I get it. It makes sense. But sir, that you wouldn't reveal yourself to your grandson and tell him, I can help you preserve this thing that would otherwise die with me? Is your pride more important to you than preserving the ability to pass on this very unique thing to your family? Are you truly gonna let that die? I don't believe he will. I think that he will reveal himself to Momo. He will stay behind in Wano, and he will teach him, and ideally also Hiyori, how to read the poneglyphs and how to make more so that this doesn't die here. He's giving us hope for a future in this way. Don't let us down, bro! There are a lot of really, really emotional scenes in these chapters. Obviously, Toko's message changing to her dad had me crying like a baby. I don't even want to talk about it, but it was so beautiful. I loved getting a little bitty Tama flashback as well. A lot of really great crew moments. I live and breathe for between major arcs where we get more interactions with the crew, just hanging out and laughing and being friends. That's one thing that I desperately wish post-time skip had more of, and we got some of that in these chapters. We also got some humor that I just frankly don't find funny, but we got some really, really good stuff as well. But for the sake of not making this video a million years long, and for the sake of not, you know, being aware of the fact that I'm supposed to be doing family time right now, let's move on and talk about the end of the final battle in Wano. Momo's decision not to open the borders. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot more of that. One thing that has been confirmed to us before is that Momo can see through the eyes of Zunesha, and so I like to think that he was able to see through Zunesha's eyes. Zunesha showed him that the White Guard were surrounding Wano, and if he opened the borders that they would just be attacked again, which they really couldn't do again because everybody was tired and they had lost some major players, and you know, it's a big deal. It would not go well for them to continue the battle. So him keeping the borders closed, I like to think there was some wisdom there, that there was some thought there, and it's also very likely that he has information that we don't, especially since Yamato showed him what was inside the journal, or at least told him. I don't know if the borders have to be opened by Zunesha, and that's why Zunesha was there to say, I'll fight for you, I'll fight by your side if you do open the borders and continue this war. And then whenever Momo said, I'm not gonna do it, then Zunesha was like, all right, well, I gotta keep walking. And you know, eventually Zunesha will come back around and open the borders. Like, I think that there must be some connection there with Zunesha needing to be there for the borders to open, which is why he showed up, or she showed up in the first place. So I'm sure there's a lot more for us to learn about that, but all I'll say is that it was a really surprising, I like being surprised, and Wano, it feels like, has led up to the borders opening up to this point. That's been Odin's goal all along. So the fact that then we just don't do that is a surprise, and I like being surprised. So I'm interested to see what, why, what. I also am like, I'm such a sucker for really cinematic endings, and I just think, I know that a lot of people were disappointed with how this ended, and I totally get it, and there are definitely some disappointing aspects to it for me as well. I think Big Mom, even though she was very strong and it took a lot to take her down, she just generally didn't do that much damage. She just kind of seemed like, I don't know if you watched my sock puppet video, but when I was illustrating her being hard to take down, I just had her kind of standing still and then like people beating against her, and that's kind of the way I view her in this arc, is that she didn't really do much, but she was hard to take down. Like, we had to hit her a lot to get her down, a lot, and Law and Kid almost couldn't do it. But what did she do, you know? So like, I do find Big Mom a little bit dissatisfying. I definitely find her crew dissatisfying. There's a lot of open threads. I'm still waiting to learn about Momo and Hiyori's mom, because she just feels like an open thread. Why did she need to get to Wano? Why was she looking specifically for Odin? There's a line that says that specifically. The Grim Reaper thing, I still fully think that the Grim Reaper was killer because of this one line. I think this is an old enough panel that I won't get in trouble for inserting it. But like, I'm still waiting for Zoro to go to the grave, but I think there's still plenty of time for that. There's so many things that feel like just like open threads, and now that we're in the wrap up of Wano, I'm just like, we gotta do something with this. We need to do something with this. So I totally understand feeling dissatisfied with the way Wano ended. It does feel very abrupt. It does feel very fast, even though the fight was quite long, and I think it was extravagant and great. But anyway, the point is, I am a sucker for the theatrical endings. I think Oda does amazing theatrical endings. One of my favorites is the crocodile ending, where, you know, he's defeated and then the rain falls. And I think that this was great because it was, Luffy is declared the winner right as the underwater volcanic eruption happens. And then from there, as the volcano that Kaido and Big Mom have fallen into goes off, as the winner is announced, then from the fog and from the ashes, we have Hiyori and Momo in dragon form, the two heirs of the Shogun, stepping forward and revealing themselves to the people for the first time. The people thought they were dead, and they're revealing themselves to the people. I guess not the first time for Momo, it doesn't matter. And then and the red scabbards, the people who have stood behind them and fought for them, and who have fought all this time with them in the shadows behind them. Like, it's such a cinematic, beautiful end to the fight. And then Momo is declared Shogun. And I have a lot of feelings about this because I was definitely lobbying for Hiyori. She just made more sense to me because she's older. She's lived in Wano for these 20 years, so she's very keen, very accustomed to the ways that they have suffered and what they've been through. She was raised a lot of that time by Denjiro, who was the Shogun's number 2. So while it wasn't shown to us, it's very possible that she picked up a lot of political understanding being in that position. She was actively helping the people during this time. She was helping Denjiro steal from the rich so that he could give to the poor. That was their scam that they ran together. Like, there's a lot that Hiyori was doing for the people, as well as just living among them and knowing what their specific needs were. So it just made more sense to me that she would be the heir that steps forward, and that she would be the one to run the country. And while she may not be the perfect choice, she seemed like a better choice than an 8-year-old in adult form. However, I am still happy with this choice. It's not uncommon for Oda to build up side characters and make them look like they're going to be really significant, and then he doesn't do that much with them. And while I do think he did some things with Hiyori, I interpreted her as being built up to be a lot more significant than she ended up being. But that's not uncommon for me. That happens all the time, where Oda will introduce someone and it's like, whoa, these people must be amazing. The Cool Brothers, the numbers, there's any number of Big Mom's crew. There's so many people that Oda introduces, and it's like, this is gonna be huge, and it's like, it's nothing. And that is actually one of my biggest nitpicks about Oda's writing, is I feel like sometimes he makes his cast so big that he makes disappointments because he doesn't do anything with some of his cast. And Hiyori he definitely did something with, but he didn't do what I guess I assumed he was going to do more with her than he ended up doing. That's not uncommon though, so that's kind of on me, I guess. But the biggest reason why I'm okay with this choice is because I did recently reread Wano, and when I came to the scene in Udon where Momo accidentally shows himself to the prisoners and they see Momo standing there and their hope is restored and they bow before him, and that scene looks so similar to the scene where he reveals himself for the first time to the larger people of Wano and they bow before him, and like that coming around full circle and him delivering hope to the prisoners so that then he can deliver the hope to the greater Wano, and their reaction of their hope being restored just in seeing him, I think is just so gorgeous. And I love Oda does that a lot, where he'll set something up in a smaller scale, and then when the big reveal happens, it's just like it's a direct parallel of something that he did earlier in the arc, and that's what this was. And to me, that makes Momo being revealed as Shogun to the people so much more satisfying. Anyway, I really have to wrap this up because I got to get back to my kids. So let me just bullet point get through a couple of these things a little bit faster. The 5 elders mentioned that they want to capture Robin. I totally understand why. I know a lot of people are really down on this idea, don't want Robin to be captured again. I personally love the idea of her being captured again, because the first time she was captured, I think Enies Lobby, Water 7 and Enies Lobby are largely about Robin's inner journey and about her wanting to die and then finding her place with the Straw Hats, finding her worth in herself, and then choosing to want to live. So I like the idea of having a direct parallel of that arc in like rapid form, of them capturing her and then our crew gearing up, getting ready to go. Everybody's like getting their gear on and saying, we're gonna save Robin again. We're not gonna leave her behind. It doesn't matter that we have this goal that we're gonna go here. We're not gonna go there yet because we will do anything to get Robin and Robin back. And then you just like see Luffy and Zoro just lounging and they're like, she's got this. And then we cut to Robin and she's just like making light work of the White Guard, making light work of the Navy, because she's stronger now physically and she's stronger now internally, and she knows her worth and she knows that her life is valuable, and she's like, I'm not gonna stay here. So she just sprouts hands out of their shoulders and breaks their necks and walks out. Like, I love the idea of Robin, of getting that direct, like, she's captured again, but this time no one's gonna hold her back. Red Bull has entered the scene. He's still quite the mystery. A lot of people are throwing around a mythical zone for his fruit. I'm not really interested in getting another mythical zone directly after we got Luffy's reveal personally, so I like the idea of a Logia, or just like a low-key Paramecia would be fine too. I think he's fascinating because he has the ability to restore Udon just by being there, and I mean, I assume he did it with intentionality, but it would also be cool to just think like wherever he walks, the land just flourishes. That's just beautiful image to me. But also he can suck the life out of people if he feels like it, which is awesome. It has him being after Luffy and assuming that he can just easily take him down either means that he's super powerful, which I believe because his powers seem really, really cool. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed with the implications of what he can do, and I think that it would make a really cool looking battle whenever we get to that, whether it's going to be now or later. So he's either really, really powerful and it's gonna be awesome, or he's really, really cocky and Luffy's gonna be like, no, and just like take him out one hit KO like Kaido did to Luffy when Luffy first confronted him. Good talker. Anyway, I don't have a lot of theories about him. I know that everybody's theorizing, so I probably won't say anything unique other than just I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to see what this is gonna be because I think his powers look awesome. Couple other rapid fire things. We got some deaths. We got probably Hawkins, definitely Ashura Doji, and Izzo, definitely Yatsui, obviously. So it's cool to see that people are actually dying. I have very specific opinions on this that I probably don't have the time to go into now because I've spent so much time on other things. I do think that the Izzo and Ashura Doji deaths are kind of odd because we spent so much time on Kinemon's fake deaths and then just like not that much time on theirs, and Izzo specifically, it's surprising that killed him. So I do think that the way they were done, especially Izzo and Ashura Doji, could have been better. I'm happy that the bomb killed Ashura Doji, even though he's one of my favorite red scabbards, and I will lobby for him in my red scabbard video, but I am happy that killed him because to me that means that Oda's not going to keep doing Pell, right? Like Pell died from a giant bomb close up, everybody complained, or at least most people did, and then Ashura Doji has a really big bomb close up and he dies. So that's a relief to me because that means that Oda's not going to keep doing that. Like that was a one and done thing, which I like, because if Ashura Doji survived that, then I would 100% say Pedro's coming back. Ain't no way that he died when everybody else in this world can survive this. You know what I mean? So like that to me secures another really noble sacrifice, and I personally think that Ashura Doji's death was extremely emotional. It absolutely made me cry like a baby, and I will get into that in the other video. Yamato is almost definitely part of the crew. I really don't see any reason why Luffy would say no. So there's been a lot of foreshadowing of that, so I think that that's probably true. I like Yamato, so I'm not fussed over it. I don't feel like I needed another member of the crew because one thing that I mentioned earlier in the video that I'm desperate to get more of is just the crew hanging out and having great interactions together, and I don't think we get enough of that already, so I don't feel the need to add more numbers to the crew because I already crave more from the crew. So adding to it to me doesn't feel needed, but I like Yamato, so I'm also fine with this choice. One little moment that I probably shouldn't even mention because I don't have time, but I'm going to, is I love Zoro waking up and then seeing Sanji and immediately logicking, oh, I came back from the depths of hell to kill you. Die! It's like, that's so funny to me. I fully expect to get more from this. Like, I think that Oda's gonna pay off the Sanji thing later, where maybe he's going to continue to have issues with his transformations or something, and like continue to have a complex about this. And the Zoro Sanji deal that they made wasn't made just for a funny bit at the end. I think he's gonna pay it off later. Oda very rarely pays off things quickly. So I'm not too fussed over the gravity of that being reduced to a bit, because the bit's hilarious and because I think that it will come back around to it eventually. But I need to know, I need confirmation on this Grim Reaper thing, please. Tama's powers, I've never really been a really big fan of her powers because I don't think they fit with the themes of One Piece at all. She can feed people her face cheeks and then they will become mindless servants of hers. It just doesn't fit freedom. And now that we know that she can, that they're only enslaved for a month, it's like, cool, that's a little bit better, I guess, but it's still not good. So I don't know. I understand that Tama was a big part of Wano and the numbers shifting over, and like she was a great asset to the battle. She was a great convenience to the story. I like her as a character, obviously, but I don't care for her powers. And getting the reveal that at least these people won't be mindless servants to her forever is cool, I guess, but I still don't like it. We got a glimpse of Sabo in what looks to me almost like a memorial, but people were celebrating when they saw the bounty posters, and I just don't think that people were celebrating during a funeral. So I don't really know. Maybe they were celebrating him because he liberated that town. I don't know, but Oda is promising us more information on Sabo with that tiny little panel, so I'm excited about that. Also, we're still waiting on the red poneglyph because Brooke said that the non-red poneglyph had a bunch of those dolls with it, so the fact that Robin was with the poneglyph and the dolls, we know that's not the red one. So we're still waiting on the red one. But also there's Pluton is here? Pluton is here? What? Robin, you've just been keeping that in your pocket? Okay. Thanks for telling us. I mean, I understand that Luffy probably wouldn't care, which is why she didn't tell him, but you could have told me. Oh my golly, the post Wano is gonna be awesome. I mean, we're already in post Wano, but when we read the poneglyphs, when we visit the grave, when we see Pluton and figure out what it is, we've got a lot of good stuff coming. We have a lot of good stuff coming, and I'm very excited. I have to go. I need to go be a family person. But these have been 4 action-packed, amazing, very, very dense chapters, and I've loved them. Buggy is king. I'm so happy. I would love to continue chatting with you in the comments. There are some things that I didn't talk about, so feel free to talk about them. Feel free to expand on some of the stuff that I talked about. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thursdays on the second channel, which is linked in the description. I'll see you again soon. Bye.